A poll out this week from the University of Texas and the Texas Tribune shows Texans are divided about the value of the Me Too movement. 38% of people had a favorable opinion of the movement, but 30% did not, and 32% had no opinion. Since the issue of the mistreatment of women has become mainstream, those in opposition have also become more vocal. A UTSA sociology grad student is working on a research study right now focusing on the men's rights movement. He joins us this morning. Tim Haverda, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So for those of us who don't know what the men's rights movement is, what is it?
Sure. So the men's rights movement kind of started in the 1960s and 1970s. And in the 70s, they were really opposed to the Equal Rights Amendment. And ever since then, they've been a very conservative reactionary movement against they've been an anti-feminist movement against feminist movements. So
essentially the movement believes that there's discrimination against men and not women.
That's right.
So you've talked to a couple of guys so far as part of this research study, and what have they told you and what have they shared with you so far?
Basically, they've just said that they feel oppressed. I had one men's rights activist say that he felt oppressed because he was cis, male, heterosexual, things like that. And they all voice similar concerns.
And there is, something to be said also, not just obviously with the Me Too movement, but men also face abuse and sexual harassment. Is that part of what they're saying as well?
You would think so, but evidently not. They don't talk about, Terry Crews or Brendan Fraser coming out saying, as part of the Me Too movement, that they've been sexually harassed or sexually assaulted. But I've not heard anything about that from these so-called men's rights activists.
So for those who may say or may think that the men's rights movement is just spreading misogyny, have you posed that question at all to these men that you've talked to?
Evidently, they do say that they're opposed to the Me Too movement and things like that. So I feel like they are spreading misogyny and anti-feminism, and one way they do that is through the men's rights movement. So that's how I feel anyway, and that's what I see in my findings.
If anyone wants to be part of this of the study, can they be part of that, or do they have to be a UTSA student?
I think right now, as long as you're a men's rights activist, you can get involved, or you can be a part of the study anyway.
And with the final results, are you planning to share that with any other organization, or is this just simply part of your research study?
It's part of my research study, but I plan to be more public about it. It has certain implications of gender movements today, especially Me Too and things like that. So I think it's important and pertinent.
And Tim, were you just inspired by the Me Too movement, and that's the reason for this research study?
Oh, I was always interested in the way, I guess, gender and masculinity was framed as a social construction, whereas these reactionary conservative movements like men's rights movements say the opposite. And I was interested in how that was, constructed and ways to study it and things like that.
All right, Tim Haverda, thank you very much.
Thank you.